Hi, I'm ARC, call sign W4CPD, Emergency Coordinator for Santa Rosa County, Florida ARES. And today I'm here to show you how to set up and deploy one of our ICOM 7100 Go Kits. These Go Kits were provided by the Santa Rosa County Department of Emergency Management and allow us to be able to deploy to a shelter or other location. These ICOM 7100 radios are capable of operating on VHF, UHF, and HF, and also have built-in sound cards. In this first video, we'll take a look at how to take the Go Kit from its current condition and actually set it up in the field. There are 4 latches, 2 on the top and 2 on the side. Once you've laid the Go Kit flat on the table, simply open it up. And inside you'll find the radio, control head, microphone, power gate, antenna tuner, and power supply. Located under these compartments are several cables that you will also need to set up this radio. Located behind the top padding, you will find the nifty manual for the radio, which I like to call the Cliff Notes version, as well as the full operating manual for the radio, as well as spare fuses. Please keep in mind, if you are only needing VHF, UHF capabilities, you will not need to remove the antenna tuner from the kit. We'll take the radio out of the Go Kit, this main unit, the faceplate, the control cable. Again, if we're needing HF capability, we'll need the antenna tuner cable and the antenna tuner. You'll also find in here the necessary 12-volt cables, one to allow you to connect to the radio, the other to the power supply. If WinLink capability is needed, you'll also need the USB cable located in the bottom of the Go Kit. We have our microphone, power supply. We have a short connector cable, UHF cable, to go from the antenna tuner to the radio, the power cable for our power supply, and again, the power gate to allow us to connect up not only the power supply, but a backup battery. Once you have all the contents removed, you can discard and set the box to the side. Now that we've got the contents laid out on the table, let's go ahead and get the radio connected. The ICOM 7100 has 2 main pieces. You have the control head where you actually operate the radio, and the main body unit of the radio, which is the actual radio transceiver itself. We'll start with looking at the connections on the transceiver. On the back, as I mentioned earlier, this is an all-mode radio, meaning it can operate on VHF, UHF, and HF, as well as digital modes. There are 2 coax connectors on the back of the radio. The antenna 2 connection, which is on the outer edge of the radio, is actually for the VHF, UHF connection. So if you're deploying to a shelter or another location and only need VHF and UHF, you will simply use the antenna 2 connection located on the outer edge of the radio. If you are operating HF, you will use the antenna 1 connection located in the inner part of the radio. This connector would be used to connect to the antenna tuner. So let's take a look at the tuner. On the back of the antenna tuner, you also have 2 connections for coax. You have the RF in, which will go to the radio, and then you have the antenna connection. If we're going to operate with HF, we will take our short coax jumper and connect it to the RF-in connection on the back of the antenna tuner. We'll then take the other end of the coax connection and connect it to the antenna 1, or the inner connection of antennas coax on the back of the radio. We'll then take the tuner control cable and plug it into the back of the antenna tuner where it says radio. And then we'll take the other end of the tuner control cable and plug it in to the tuner port on the radio. It will only go one way. So now we have established connection from the radio to the antenna tuner. We've got the RF connection as well as the control connection done. Next, we'll get the control head connected. You'll take the control head and locate the network style RJ45 connector that has 2 metallic ends on it. This means that it is shielded. We'll take one end of this cable and plug it in to the back of the control head to the port labeled control unit. You'll notice it is also metallic. Next, we'll take the other end of the cable and plug it into the controller port, again also metallic, on the bottom of the radio. It's on the bottom outside edge. On this unit, the microphone actually can plug into either the main unit or the control head. I typically plug it into the control head. Looking on the back of the control head, you'll see the microphone port. Simply take the microphone connection and plug it into the back of the control head. These are the main parts of this radio that have now been connected. Now that we've got the main radio hooked up, let's get some power going. We're going to take our power gate and connect up the power supply, the output, which goes to the actual radio itself, and then a battery connection. Again, this allows us to run off of battery power should we lose main power at the location we're deployed. So let's take our power cable for the radio and plug it in to the back of the main control unit. We'll then take the other end of the cable that has power poles attached and plug it in to the center connection on the power gate labeled output. Now that that's connected, we can then come over and connect up the wires on our power supply. We have positive and negative on the back, and you should know how to do that, but let's go ahead and get those connected as well. Once we've attached the cables, we'll simply screw the connectors back on. Ensure that these two do not touch, otherwise that'll create an electrifying experience. Once the power supply is hooked up to the cable, simply take the other end and connect it into the power supply port on the power gate, again with the power pole connection. You also then have your power cable for the power supply that you connect to the back of the power supply and then plug it into power. Now I see I've got a mess here, but that's just because we're trying to do this in a consolidated fashion. We can then take and connect our battery, if we have one, to the power gate into the port labeled battery. Now that we have all of the main components connected, the next step would be to attach our antenna cables. If you're using HF, you should have already established a connection from the RF in port on the tuner to the antenna 1 port on the radio. To connect your HF antenna, take your coax from the HF antenna and plug it in to the back of the antenna tuner into the antenna port. If you needed VHF-UHF connectivity, that would go into the antenna 2 connection on the back of the main unit. Again, this port is for VHF-UHF only. To turn on the ICOM 7100, press and hold the center of the top button on the control head. And voila, you have now successfully connected your ICOM 7100. The only additional step is if you need WinLink connectivity, you would also attach the USB cable, also located in the Go Kit. One end of the connection would go into your computer, and then the secondary connection that has the ferrite choke goes into the port on the bottom of the main ICOM 7100 unit, located just under the antenna connections. This will provide us with the ability to use the built-in sound card and TNC to be able to utilize digital modes. Thanks for watching this training video, and we'll see you in the next one.